Hi, I'm Nathan Oakley and this is video log number 9. Today's video log is about a story which has been spun and downplayed and hasn't had anywhere near enough exposure. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube about it, but they just have text and a bit of music, which is fine, it's great, but it doesn't really get the importance of the story across. So there's a China Airways flight from Bali to LA, and mid-flight a lady who's on board gives birth. She's 4 weeks premature and they land in an emergency situation. And where do they land? Alaska. Now, none of this makes any sense whatsoever on a globe Earth, if I can duck out of the way in a moment. So this is the flight that they were supposed to take. This is their planned route across to LA. The problem is that when it comes to them taking this emergency landing at about this point in the flight, according to what they actually did, they took an enormous detour up to Alaska. Now, this isn't actually what happened. They just made an emergency landing. They just landed. And where did they land? Alaska. Now, in a moment, it's going to show you how this is plotted out on the azimuthal equidistant map, or the Gleason's map, or the plain sailing map, or whatever it is that you want to call it. But on the flat Earth map, we have a very reasonable explanation for this. It's been summed up loads of times. There are no shortcuts on the flat Earth map. You can't go across the bottom of the globe if the bottom of the globe doesn't exist, and it's just the outer ring of a map. That means that you can only do one thing when you're travelling from point A to point B from the southern hemisphere, and that is cross northerly points that shouldn't be on your route. And this is the perfect example with them landing in Alaska to let this woman have the emergency medical treatment that she required. So this is my way of putting it out there with a little bit of verbalisation of what's actually happened. This woman's been on a flight. She's supposed to be going from A to B and has gone through F to arrive there, and she's gone and landed in Alaska, which is massively north of her destination upon descent. She shouldn't be in Alaska. As I say, this only makes sense if we live on a flat plane. So now we cut to how the route looks on, this is actually the azimuthal equidistant map, and as you can probably see from what's going on behind me, there's where they land. And you know, this makes nice, perfect sense. You'd go in a straight line if that's the most economical and efficient way of making the trip. So yeah, you can probably see that's where they stop. It doesn't make any sense unless you're on a flat map. Now, when I've gone to RT's newsfeed to look at this, there's hardly any comments. There's 7 comments, and obviously it's going to be about the joy of childbirth. Not that that happens around the world millions of times a day or anything, but yeah, it's about the joy of childbirth and not about the fact that this isn't feasible on our globe model that we're given. There's like one comment on one of these news feeds about the birth that sort of points out it's not a flat earther, just someone saying, hang on a second, how come they've landed in Alaska? And there's a commenter pipes up by the name of Momo the Belly Dancer, and I actually made a response to this person about the lack of satellite evidence in space, or the blurry images or the streaks. But yet this Momo the Belly Dancer is there on a video about the joys of childbirth and the exciting story of someone having to make an emergency landing to perform this, and they're there saying there's nothing to see here. It looks perfectly normal if you plot it out on the globe. Don't worry about it. Why are the people who are commenting on videos about NASA's foolery and NASA's fakery on their, complete farce of a moon landing, and commenting on the lack of evidence of satellites in space with proper photographs and not streaks? That same person is on an RT feed saying, nothing to see here, looks normal when you plot it out on a globe. Well, it doesn't look normal. None of this makes sense. It only makes sense like this. It only makes sense on a flat map. And that's the real story here. As much as I'm elated for this woman to give birth to a healthy baby 4 weeks early, the flat earth is the real story. Another commenter said, what nationality is it going to be? Well, maybe Alaskan, but flat earth, that's the nationality. This woman has inadvertently given us proof that the globe map doesn't work, and that the Gleason's or the azimuthal equidistant map are the real deal. You know, here's a logical explanation for why they landed where they landed. And there's no way you're going to tell me the airlines are going to take a less efficient route if there's a more efficient route available. They're all about saving money on fuel. So here it is in black and white. The world is flat. There's no two ways about it. We've been lied to. We've been had. And them covering up and highlighting the birth story covers up the real story, which is that they landed massively off route because they had to. That's where they were. That's how life is. That's where we live. Anyway, I've been Nathan Oakley. I'll see you in the next one.